This 11th chemistry, the topic is dihydrogen as fuel. We know that hydrogen burns in presence of oxygen to form water, and a lot of energy is produced like other fuels. If we compare it with other efficient, we use coal as fuel, we use wood as fuel, we use kerosene as fuel, we use LPG, we use methane, we use gasoline. If we compare these intercy, we can see that the highest, most efficient fuels are, we have LPG. It produces 50 kilojoules per gram. Okay, this LPG. If we see methane is also one of the efficient fuels. It produces 53 kilojoules per gram. Similarly, if we see this gasoline, which contains octane, it is 47 kilojoules per mole. If we come per this gram, if we compare it with hydrogen in liquid form, in a liquid, hydrogen produces 153 kilojoules per gram, and in this gaseous form it produces 152 kilojoules per mole. So we can see that it produces more than three times the energy per gram as produced by other efficient fuels, which are considered efficient fuels at this time. uh, the byproduct, in also we can see the byproduct is water, which is in no way injurious to anyone, so it is a pollution free fuel. One this pollutant which can be produced is oxides, or many oxides of nitrogen. Since nitrogen has an impurity in hydrogen when we prepare it, so oxides of nitrogen also produced, and this can be prevented also or reduced by lowering the temperature of the cylinder. While we burn this hydrogen, this can be lowered by injecting some water occasionally. When we inject water in it, the temperature is lowered, and what happens that the nitrogen does not burn. It requires a higher temperature than hydrogen, so it is not burned, it remains unburned, and in this way production of oxides of nitrogen is prevented. We can see that first it was used, it has been used for a very long time as rocket fuel, because a lot of energy is produced from a smaller weight when compared to other fuels. It was used first in Saturn V. Saturn V was the rocket which carried first man to moon. Neil Armstrong, etc. As you know, it is carried in liquid form. We those rockets we carries in separate containers liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. They are mixed. There is a mechanism for they are mixing together, and combustion and energy is released. Water is produced, which is used by astronauts for drinking purpose. Okay, so this was used in Saturn V at the very beginning, and since then it has been an efficient. It's considered as efficient rocket fuel. Okay. Uh, Now let us consider what are the advantages of dihydrogen as fuel. इसमें क्या है advantage of dihydrogen as fuel? Okay, first is that it releases greater amount of energy. Greater amount of energy is produced. Greater amount of energy is produced per unit weight. Per unit weight, as we have seen above, how it is three times the most efficient fuel is. Okay. Second is, as you know that we have just discussed that the only product is water. It is water is produced which can be used for many purposes, and there is no pollutant in this releaser. Third is the emission of environment pollutants that we have: carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, etc. Oxide, nitrogen, they are not produced while when we use the hydrogen as fuel. Fourth is the internal combustion engines which we use in these automobiles. They can be easily modified. Internal, they can be modified easily to use easily to use H2 as fuel. So there is prospect that we can, if we are able to introduce as a mass fuel, we can convert these internal combustion engines to use in this hydrogen. So there is no need to devise new engines, etc., etc. Okay. So this is fifth is that fuel cells. We have fuel cells are in vogue at this is, we choose hydrogen as fuel. They have a conversion efficiency of 70 to 85%. Fuel cells. Fuel cells are used to produce electricity, which are being used in many sectors, and they have an efficiency of 40 to 50% conversion, and which is very encouraging. Okay. Then we have sixth is that we have we have abundance of hydrogen available in the form of ocean water. Since we have a lot of water in oceans, trillions, billions of tons, so we can get hydrogen from there to use it for as an fuel. Okay. So these are the advantages. Then we have problems associated with it. What are the problems in using these problems or disadvantages? Problems of H2 as fuel. Dihydrogen, if we want to use dihydrogen fuel, what are the problems? First is that we have now we have said that we have a lot of this water available in oceans. We can get water from there, but we see that to separate water from this to separate hydrogen from water, it requires, we need to do the electrolysis of the of water, which requires a lot of energy. We need 286 kilojoules per mole. We need this much of energy to electric energy to electrolyze water to get hydrogen. So this is very expensive. This is not when we incur a lot of expenditure on extraction of fuel, then it will be expensive, and that won't be in the interest of anyone. So this is one thing. Second is it means that first is that it becomes expensive because we require a lot of electric energy to electrolyze water to get hydrogen. Okay. Second is it is highly combustible. So it is very difficult to handle it safely. If it burns, it easily catches fire, and it burns with an explosion that will destroy property and life. So it is so this is another cause of concern. If we prepare hydrogen, if we want to use it, then it is highly combustible. We need to take extra measures to prevent any mishap or accident. Third is it is not easy to store. It is not easy to store, not easy to store or transport. So it is not easy to transport, because if we the cylinders which we have devised, which are used to transport and this store hydrogen, are 30 times heavier, 30 times heavier than these petrol tanks of same energy. Petrol tanks of same energy. That means that the petrol tank containing petrol of some which contains petrol of some energy, which can produce some amount of energy. If we want to store that much of hydrogen, which will produce on this on combustion, produce the same as that of petrol, we will require 30 times heavier tank than that used for petrol. So this production of this the fabrication of these tanks, and we also require some costly these alloys for these. So this also leads to the expansiveness of this hydrogen as fuel. Okay, thank you.